Welcome to another episode of Name Tape Defilade. We made it to number 3. Uh, I'm surprised we made it to number 3. This takes a lot of work, as I said before, but this is fun, man. Like we're cool, man. Everything is good with this. I'm surprised I'm actually doing something like this, but I've said that in the first 2 episodes, man. Now episode 2 cut off. It cut off when I was talking about the beach and how I didn't like the beach, but I kind of like the beach, but I don't like certain things of what to do at the beach. And what I forgot to talk about before that episode cut off was Jason Statham. Now I was talking about how I don't like the beach because of sharks. Now that episode cut off, but we're gonna continue with that. I feel like Jason Statham is the kind of dude that can, he could take a shark out. If this is the normal banter that infantrymen would be talking about in the back of a cough or next to our wall lockers or something before we go out to the field for 2 weeks. And we would talk about how Jason Statham can kill a shark the size of a building. But here's my whole thing with it. My whole thing was I just don't understand. Like they could have picked anybody to deal with a shark the size of a building, but they decided to pick Jason Statham. Now, this is a gentleman I feel like if you had an Applebee's or a Chili's or Olive Garden, somewhere affordable like that, and you chilling, and Jason Statham walks in, I feel like he'll walk in and go, "Oi, I'm here." Like I feel like that's what he'll do when he arrives wherever he goes. That's just how I think of Jason Statham wherever he walks at. He might be a low-key quiet dude, but he might walk in and go, "Oi, I'm here. Transporter." I'm sorry. I just was thinking about Jason Statham like that. But it was a while like that movie, that Meg movie. Here's why I'm talking about this, because that Meg movie was a wild movie. Like, I watched that movie and my wife thought the world of that movie. She thought that movie was amazing. And I was like, no, it was a terrible movie. This movie was for people that like Sharknado. Now, I'm not talking bad about Sharknado. I feel like the people that made Sharknado knew that they was making something bad, but the whole country loved it. This Meg movie is a little different. And then they made a sequel. This Meg movie is a little different because I feel like it was a serious movie and people would watch and go, "Oh my God, if we had a shark that big, Jason Statham could ride skateboards on it and ski board off of it," or whatever he was doing. He was dodging the shark in the movie in the water. I couldn't understand that. That dude's awesome. I'm a fan. But I couldn't get, I think he punched the shark in the eye or he grabbed a piece of coral and did something to the shark. I just didn't understand that part. And my whole family's watching this movie like, "Yeah, this movie's incredible. Oi." And I didn't like that part. I just feel like Jason Statham, man, you're awesome. But you're not gonna be able to do that in the water like that, man. I don't. I just don't like how they did that. I don't like how they did that movie. They had that movie serious, but like I'm watching that movie going, dude, that shark's the size of a building. He's gonna eat that guy in the water with a ski board or whatever, the ski submarine, whatever the hell is in the water with him. Whatever kind of TA-50 equipment that is, you know? But I just feel like that movie was just hype for nothing. Because part 2 was the same thing. He was dodging it and he was like punching it. I don't know. As you can see, I'm rocking the Marvel superhero shirt. Now, I'm not gonna get into that too much. I feel like they overdid it with the movies. They just kept going too long. I feel like Avengers 1 and 2 was the dope movies of the whole thing, but I like my superhero movies, but to a limit. Once it starts getting a little far-fetched and CGI versus CGI versus CGI versus CGI, it just gets a little, I can't do that no more. I think the superhero movie genre needs to kind of stop. We need to get back to more realistic things in Hollywood because the Hollywood of America, y'all making movies like The Meg. I don't mean to hate on that movie. I was just talking about the beach in my last episode and I got cut off because I didn't have enough space or whatnot. So, but my day was cool, man. I hope everybody's having a good day, man. This is episode number 3 of the Name Tape Defilade podcast. And if you're just catching on now, man, name tape defilade is a military term, and it means keep your head low enough. Oh, actually, keep your head high enough so you can do your job effectively with a machine gun or some kind of weapon system, but keep your head low enough so you're behind cover. Now, we talk about how that applies to life, and I've explained that in other episodes, but we'll keep talking about what that means and how I think that applies to life. Basically, in a nutshell, man, just keep your head high enough to do what you got to do, but keep your head low enough so that way you stay out of the BS of life, man, because you get caught up real quick out here. It's easy. It's easy. But my day was simple. I had a simple day. I don't know about y'all, man, but I work for a living right now. I do work for a living, and I do security. But here's the thing, like I be driving to work wanting to, I be just wanting to, hit somebody with my car. I hope that's not a bad thing. Driving is like one of the most dangerous things you can do, and people are so bad at it, man. Like, it is wild what I see. I literally watched a man had an entire plate of food in his hand. And it wasn't like a normal plate. It was like one of those sectioned off trays you get in the public school. And he was sitting there just eating it just as he was driving with his knees. If you're a knee driver, listen, I'm going to give you respect off the bat for that. That's talent if you're a knee driver. But also you're a menace to society doing that. Because I know a couple of y'all probably caused some car accidents or something driving with knees. You can't swiftly maneuver with knees. You can't do that. Like if you eating, I don't know, he was eating a piece of chicken. Now he was into that chicken. What if somebody cut him off or merged with no signal or something wild like that? How he gonna maneuver? He gonna have to drop the whole plate, and that chicken probably tastes so good he don't want to do that. Car accident. What was the reason for the accident? What happened, sir? Man, this KFC chicken wing was just so good. Now I didn't get the chicken wing from the bucket, but I had a tray at home and I put some chicken wings on the tray, and I decided to drive with it because I was running late, officer, and I was driving with my knees and I couldn't control myself in an emergency situations. Knee drivers, talented but deadly. That's how I finished with that. But still, man, like I be driving to work sometimes, and I live in South Florida. There's enough. All right, there's enough of wildness in South Florida. Like I don't know how you make your vehicle do like a 360, flip it upside down, and then land inside of a tree all by yourself. But I've seen that down here. I have seen that down here. It's nuts. I don't get it, man. But it's almost like every day I drive in this state, or even in the county that I live in, which is Palm Beach County, Florida. I drive, dude. I'm telling you, I see some wildness. On my way back from Fort Lauderdale last night, I saw a truck on fire. I mean, this thing was on fire. And you don't see vehicles on fire all the time like that, but this thing was on fire. And I was just shaking my head as I'm driving by. I was trying not to rubberneck, because rubbernecking is when you trying to look at the accident and drive at the same time, and you slow up all traffic because you swerve and you go slow. And I tried not to do it, but it was hard not to do. I took pictures of it. It's hard not to do that, man. It's hard not to do it. But yeah, I mean, that just, I went to work, man. Everything was safe. I do security for a living, as I said before. Everybody was cool, man. Everybody was safe. My day is simple. Simple day. I don't have a hectic day. I don't think I want a hectic day, man. I want the chaos to be controlled throughout my day. Now, I remember one thing I wanted to talk about as a veteran is I wanted to talk about that transition, man. I wanted to talk about the transition out of the U.S. Army. Now, I will say, through my experience with it, the Army, they try to do a good job of transitioning you out. I was stationed in Fort Drum, New York, and we were at Clark Hall. If any of you guys stationed in Fort Drum, 10th Mountain Division, Clark Hall was that main epicenter of everything, man. You can get everything done there. But when I was getting out of the military, we had to do a lot of little classes in there. We did like a finance class. We did like a how to adapt to society kind of deal class. We did just basically transitioning into what society is now from what, the military was. Now, an interesting thing about that is in the military, man, men and women in the military, we're so used to doing what everybody else is telling you to do. So what your higher ups are telling you to do, that's what you do. So you're constantly used to that. I got to be here at this time. I got to be in this uniform. I have to have this equipment. I'm going to be here for this long. I'm going to do this. Like that's your life for so long. And then when you're transitioning out, I forget the name of the program, man. Hopefully somebody can tell me the name of the program when you're getting out. They give you this folder. You're talking to all these different people. You're getting lined up with jobs. You're getting lined up with opportunities of what to what kind of avenues you want to go down as far as a career. But it is, I'm going to tell you now, they try their best, but it does not do justice. Because I remember when I got out, my identity was gone. I was happy to get out. I was dancing on the way out. I was done with those 4 years, 4.5 years. I was done, man. That changed my life forever. But when I was leaving, weird thing when I was leaving, when I got out, when I finally left those gates for the last time, and I knew I was done. Gotta be honest, I cried. I cried, and here's why I cried. And I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm man enough to be honest about mine. I cried because I grew up in the U.S. Army. I became a man in the U.S. Army. That's why I cried. I cried because before the U.S. Army, I thought I was a man, and I was going nowhere pretty fast. I mean, pretty quick. I was going nowhere, man. I was gonna be a mess. But in the U.S. Army, that's where I was around these men that taught me how to be a man and taught me how to, handle my business and do what I got to do and man up and get up and keep moving, continue moving. I learned that from the infantry boys, man. I learned that from the boys in Battle Company, you know, 1st Brigade Battle Company, 132. I learned that from those boys. And when I got out, when I was leaving that gate, I was crying, man. And I was crying like tears of joy and some sadness in there because I was going to miss that. I knew I was going to miss it, even though I was listening to some Nas on the way out, and I was getting out. I was done. This part of my life is over, and I don't have to turn back and deal with it again. Uh, but that's one of the things I'm always going to remember. I don't know if anybody's listening to this that served in the military or can understand where I'm coming from. Man, I miss that. I miss it a lot, man. I miss those days. When you're hanging out with all those people and you're sucking with them and you're suffering and you're going through the suck and the fray and from the stuff you had to deal with in Afghanistan and your deployments and then the stuff back in garrison and all the training and I miss that, man. I miss my Army brothers all the time. I miss them all the time. But transitioning out, man, I gotta tell you, I was lonely. I was lost. I was confused. I didn't have an identity, man. And this is what they kind of don't tell you is gonna happen to you because everybody's gonna process things differently. So when I was out, man, and I was going through all that, I went down a bad path. I went down a bad path, and I thought alcohol was the way to deal with that. I thought alcohol and smoking, I thought that was the way to deal with it because I'm gonna be honest, man. As an infantryman, that when we had time off, that's all we kind of did. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. That's all I remember doing. We'd go to the barracks. We'd drink. We'd eat pizza. We'd eat food and go outside and smoke and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So when I got out, I thought that was the answer. I was like, I'm just gonna, when I have a little downtime, I'm gonna just do this. And I tell you now, man, anybody listening to this, anybody stumble across this and wants to listen, that is not the way. That is not the way. I almost lost my family. I almost lost myself. I'm grateful to God that I'm still alive and I was able to get through that dark time. Uh, and it's interesting that I'm admitting this right now to a bunch of strangers and people don't know me, but this is a good thing that I'm doing for myself. It's just telling the truth. And the truth was I went down a bad path, man. But as hard as it was transitioning out and figuring yourself out, it's not impossible. It is hard and it's not impossible. Number one thing, and I'm sure a lot of us could agree to this, that served in the military is just how ungrateful everyone is out here. And not everybody. I don't want to generalize to anybody else listening, but I'm just saying, man. There's a lot of ungrateful activity out here, man. There's a lot of people that are not thankful for anything. They think they should just get all this stuff hand and foot. And the people that served in the military, man, the people that have been through that, the people that have done that kind of work and been in an area foreign to them, I mean, it is just to see that is infuriating. I was just with another U.S. Army infantryman the other day. I was doing security detail, and I met this other infantryman, and we were talking about that, man. And I get so happy when I meet another grunt, man. It's the best. I haven't seen other grunts in a long time, man, but those are my favorite individuals, or grunts, because we're the same. But I was talking to this guy, and we agreed on that wholeheartedly. It's like, oh, these people they're not grateful for anything. They complain about the littlest things, man. And I'm not generalizing. I don't think we were generalizing. Just some of those people, you guys know what I'm talking about. They just don't appreciate nothing. They think everything just come easy for them, man. Society's soft right now. And that softness is everywhere. That softness is all over the place right now. It's entrenched in everything. But I think the pendulum shall return at some point where we get back to some normal traditional things. Maybe not. Maybe the world's forever going to change. Uh, but anybody transitioning right now, anybody about to face the transition, man, don't go down those dark paths. It's easy to. It's so easy to go down those dark paths, man. It's so easy because it's right there. It's right there, man. The devil hides in plain sight. It is right there. It's gonna get you. It's gonna get you, but you can fight it, man. You got to keep like-minded individuals around you. And I've just been learning this, man. As I started doing comedy, I found comedy. Comedy was one of those things that got me out of that darkness. Comedy, man. Believe that or not. I know having a family is a beautiful thing, but you know, someone transitioning out of the military, man, when you get lost like that, you don't think you're good enough for your family. You don't think you're doing enough for them. And I'm telling you, man, these thoughts, man, your mind is the strongest muscle in the body. It's the strongest organ in the body. It's the strongest thing. That brain of yours is gonna conflict everything. That brain of yours is gonna take things out of context. That brain of yours is gonna just mix everything up. It's the same idea when you want to get up early in the morning and you want to exercise. What does your brain do? Nah, lay down a little bit more, man. Stay in this bed. Why do you got to get up? You don't got to get up right now. Stay in this bed, man. You don't got to get up, man. 20 more minutes. The same thing happens in other aspects of your life. I got to do this. I got to get better with that. I got to get my head out of the dirt. Your brain's always gonna be like, nah, man, this is how we should be thinking. Like you got to fight all that. You have multiple voices in your brain, in my opinion. You got it. You got a voice of reason and you got a voice of treason. That's what I call it. Voice of reason, voice of treason. You got things in your brain that it's gonna fight with each other. You just got to win it. And the great David Goggins talks about it all the time. You got that voice. You got that voice in your hand, and your brain is gonna want to make you a little bitch, per se. But you got to fight that, man. It's easier said than done, of course, man. But anybody transitioning, any military members, anybody going through the dark path, man, it's easy to fall down that trench. Trust me, it's so easy. But you got to fight. You got to fight, man, and you got to stay above that, man. And I'm always glad if I'm getting any listeners with this. I'm always glad that you guys will take your time just to listen to this. I only want 20, 25 minutes of your time. I don't want your whole day. I want you to be able to listen to this podcast on the way to work or listen to this podcast on a lunch break or something just to get a good word out there, man. I'm not a professional speaker. I'm not an influential or whatever they call these people now, man. I'm just a veteran and a comedian and a husband and a father. I'm just trying to figure it out just like you. And if I can make you laugh with this, awesome. If I can make you think about things in a different perspective, beautiful, man. But this has been another episode of the Name Tape Defilade podcast, man. Always remember, keep your head high enough to do your job effectively, but keep it low enough so that way you are behind cover, man. Life is a wild ride. But I'm so glad that whoever listens to this, man, this has been episode 3. I'm Matt Rivera. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Also, real quick, actually, before I get done with this, I'm I'm not that mad at Jason Statham. I want y'all to know that. From the Fast and Furious, I mean, from the Transporter to Fast and Furious, to him fighting a shark the size of a building, those are pretty dope accolades, dog. I put him up there with Arnold Schwarzenegger or Stallone. Those are crazy accolades. Like even Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger was like, oh damn, this dude beat up a shark twice. Not only once, I think it was Godzilla in the second one. I think Godzilla was in the second one. Jason Statham's doing work, people. This is what I'm talking about. All right, this is what I'm talking about. This is the conversations. This is the type of topics that infantrymen would be talking about. Because I remember I was talking about wildly, just things that didn't even make sense. But Jason Statham, I'm not hating on you, man. But I feel like if you gonna catch him at a Chili's or a Buffalo Wild Wings, he gonna walk in and go, "Oi, I'm here." You know, I just feel like he's gonna do that. But I'm Matt Rivera, man. I appreciate your time. You guys have a great week. Much love from above, baby dove. Peace.